Hey guys, welcome to our weekly news show here on Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb, your host, and we've got an exciting show planned for you guys this week. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, which is a little bit atypical for a Backstage with Millionaires weekly news video, is an acquisition. Specifically, the acquisition of a Hyderabad-based SaaS startup called Automate.io. Automate.io helps businesses to ease their workflow by automating repetitive tasks across multiple apps. So Automate.io is being acquired by San Francisco-based SaaS unicorn Notion. And what Notion allows you to do is manage your entire workflow and also collaborate with other users. This acquisition is going to help Notion to achieve their goal of providing all of the tools that a business could possibly need to manage their entire workflow all on one platform by connecting with Automate.io's more than 200 app integrations. Now, speaking of managing workflows, this week's video is sponsored by Taskade, a platform for remote teams to chat, organize, and get things done. It's an all-in-one collaboration tool being used by companies like Netflix, Lyft, Activision, Sony, and Compass. And the way it's organized is super intuitive and user-friendly. But don't let the simple design of this platform fool you either, because this is not just an everyday run-of-the-mill productivity app or a to-do list app. The functionality here actually goes a lot deeper. For example, you've got a bunch of different workspaces like the list view, the board view, the action view, the mind map view, and the organizational chart view. Now, of course, all of these workspaces are synced up in real time for all of the members of your team and across all of your devices too. Smartphones, tablets, laptops, it's all constantly up to date. And because this platform is specifically designed for remote work, you can also chat and do video calls right inside of the app. Now, if this sounds like the kind of platform that you need for your startup team, I would highly recommend checking Taskade out, and you can find a link to their website in the pinned comment and description down below. And in case you're worried about the price, get this. For the first 1,000 Backstage with Millionaires viewers who click on the link in the pinned comment or description down below, you get a 100% lifetime discount. That's right, if you click on the link below, Taskade will forever be free for you. Just use the coupon code Backstage with Millionaires, that's all one word, no spaces, at checkout, and you'll get Taskade for free forever. It doesn't get any better than this, guys. Oh, and thanks to Taskade for sponsoring this video. All right, next up in the news, India has finally launched the highly anticipated account aggregator framework. Now, this actually happened on the 2nd of September, so we're a little bit late with this news, but we thought it would be worth mentioning anyways because it is a very big deal. There are already 8 banks on this platform and also 4 account aggregators. You've got Finvu, OneMoney, CAMS FinServe, and National E-Governance Services. But what exactly are account aggregators? What is this framework? How does it function? And more importantly, what is its purpose? How does it actually impact you and me, the customer? Well, it's a little bit complicated to explain, but I'll try to break it down as best I can by starting there, with the customer, you and me. Now, unless you've been putting your money underneath your mattress and you've been dealing with cold hard cash your entire life, you've probably left a paper trail, a bunch of financial information which is tied to you and your identity. And this information is usually stored with your bank. Now, this bank we're going to refer to as an FIP, a financial information provider. Now, let's just say that you, the customer, want to sign up for a fintech service, an NBFC of some kind. Maybe it's a money lender, maybe it's a wealth management platform. They're going to be asking you for your financial information to decide what level of service they're willing to offer you. What features are you eligible for? Or they might even be deciding whether or not to onboard you as a customer in the first place. So they are the FIUs, the financial information users. But how do you, the customer, actually get your financial information from the FIP to the FIU, from your bank to the NBFC, the money lender, the wealth management platform, the fintech company? How do you do that? How do you make that transfer? Well, historically, there have been a couple of ways of doing this. One you go and make a copy. Or you actually get the original document and you bring it over to the FIU. This is very unsafe because that journey from point A to point B, anything can happen there. You can get robbed, you can have an accident, something can happen, the document can get burned or wet. It's a very unsafe way of doing things. And then when you put that document into the hands of the FIU, what are they gonna do with it? They're not gonna use it just once and then shred it. They're probably gonna hold on to it and it's gonna be sitting there, and then in case something happens to them, maybe they get robbed, or maybe they're an unsavory character who wants to copy and scan this document and send it out to other people. This is sensitive financial information that you're basically just handing to somebody and saying, okay, I'm trusting you with this document, I hope you don't do anything bad with it. The other option is to send it over the internet. Maybe you're gonna send it in an email or on WhatsApp. This happens a lot. And this is also a very unsafe way of doing things because, again, people can just duplicate it, they can forward it, they can send it to somebody else. It's already there on the internet, they can take a screenshot, and it's a very unsafe way of doing things. So this is where account aggregators come in. They are the middleman between the FIP and the FIU so that you don't have to be. And you can dictate the terms of what actually happens between the FIP and the FIU. How much of this information is sent, which details are sent, how long does the FIU have access to this information, all of that stuff is in your hands, the customer. So this is very customer focused. This is very good for everyday people here in India. Now, people are already drawing comparisons between the impact that UPI had on India's digital payment space and the likely impact that account aggregators are going to have on India's digital data sharing space. And it's only a matter of time before a bunch of different use cases start cropping up and startups start to take advantage of these opportunities. But we're already seeing a couple of different use cases here. For example, Axis Bank and HDFC Bank have already started using account aggregators to issue auto loans, and Lending Card is doing the same thing with micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. There's also an interesting potential future use case in medical institutions, like for example, a hospital, being an FIP, because they have access to your digital data, they have your medical records, they have the financial information attached to those medical records, and so that information could be requested by an FIU, for example, an insurance company, because let's say you're trying to claim your insurance. You met an accident, you got sick, and so you're trying to claim your insurance, and they would go through an account aggregator to gain access to that financial information in a safe and secure way. And of course, that's all going through you. You have to give them consent. You have to specify which information you want to have shared and for how long you want it to be shared for with that insurance company. And then of course, you also have the possibility of a much larger amount of financial inclusion here in India, specifically when it comes to loans, credit, and credit cards. Account aggregators would make it much easier for the average Indian person to gain access to credit from a legitimate licensed financial institution instead of having to turn to loan sharks or family and friends. Just 0.05% of Indian people have a credit card. And so account aggregators could increase this number significantly. So all of this stuff is really exciting. And we actually interviewed someone who's been working on the project before the pandemic started. You can check that video out up here if you're interested to learn more. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on these account aggregators in a comment down below. All right, next up in the news, let's talk a little bit about the battle of the biscuits. So for the last 24 months, Udaan has been unsuccessfully trying to buy biscuits from Parle. Parle, of course, is most known for their Parle G biscuits, and they have an 83% market share when it comes to India's glucose biscuit market. These biscuits are a must-have for retailers, and of course, retailers are Udaan's customers. 83% of the market means that 83% of all of the biscuits, roughly, that are being eaten here in India by Indian consumers are coming from this one company, Parle. And so Udaan has two choices here. Number one, they can stop offering Parle biscuits on their platform, which is going to be really frustrating for their customers who probably want to be sourcing these biscuits from Udaan, but they're not going to be able to. And so they're going to have to turn to Udaan's competitors and start sourcing the biscuits from them instead, which is bad for Udaan's business. Or alternatively, Udaan can start sourcing these biscuits from distributors. Distributors are sourcing the biscuits originally from Parle, and Udaan is essentially a distributor, or they're trying to replace distributors in the Indian market in the B2B space. And so that's also not good for business because Udaan is actually buying the biscuits at the same price that they're selling them for because the distributors typically sell the biscuits to the retailers. So Udaan is not going to be able to make any money here, which is why they filed a complaint with the Competition Commission of India, saying that what Parle is actually doing here is anti-competitive and that there's no objective justification for them to do it. Okay, enough of the battle of the biscuits. Let's talk about some IPO-related news. Snapdeal might be going public in 2022. Now, take this with a grain of salt because one, the company has not yet confirmed this, and two, the people who did share this information with the media said that this is still in the early stages of development, so it might not end up happening, we don't know, but reportedly they're planning to raise $400 million at a $2.5 billion valuation. Now, I'm sure you guys remember this, but back in 2016, Snapdeal was on top of the world. They were one of the e-commerce giants here in India, competing neck and neck with Flipkart and Amazon. They were valued at $6.5 billion, but then after a series of unfruitful acquisitions, massive losses, and a failed merger with Flipkart, everything went downhill, and it went downhill fast, and everybody thought that Snapdeal was going to die. But they're kind of like a phoenix that way. They rose from their own ashes, and now it seems like they've actually accomplished that turnaround. In the financial year of 2020, they saw revenue totaling 846.6 crore rupees, while their losses were only 274 crore rupees. So if they keep moving in this direction towards potentially at some point becoming profitable, do you think that Snapdeal would be a company that you would actually be interested in participating in their IPO? Would you actually try to get allotment in that IPO, or when they hit the stock market, would you buy stock in Snapdeal? Let me know what your thoughts are in a comment down below. All right, next up in the news, a quick update for you guys on the situation with Ultraviolette Automotive and their electric motorcycle, the F77. We finally have a launch date, March of 2022. They're also going to be taking pre-orders before the end of 2021, although we don't know when that's going to start. But what we do know is that they're going to be setting up a 70,000 square foot manufacturing facility here in Bengaluru. And that facility is going to have a manufacturing capacity of 15,000 units in the first year. And then by the time the factory is finished, they're going to increase that number to 120,000 units, which is very exciting. But coming to the statistics regarding the actual manufacturing, 90% of the electric motorcycle is going to be manufactured in India. These are specifically the parts that are going to be manufactured. So 10% is going to be happening outside of India. But of course, in terms of the actual building, the assembly of these bikes, it's all going to be happening here in India. And of course, the designing of the bike, which is already finished, happened here in India as well. And then coming to the specs of the bike, we have a top speed of 140 kilometers per hour and a range of 150 kilometers on a single charge. So this is all very exciting news, and it looks like 2022 is going to be the year of EVs here in India, and I'm super excited for it. Also, in other EV news, it looks like Ola Electric was facing some problems with their website, specifically pertaining to the sale of their S1 and S1 Pro scooters. People were trying to buy these, and there were some technical glitches, and so they've pushed the date now for sale of these scooters from the 8th of September to the 15th of September. Not a huge delay, not a big deal, but I just thought I would mention it anyways while we're on the topic of electric scooters. But moving on to some more acquisition news now, Byju has made their 8th acquisition in 2021, test preparation platform Gradeup. Byju is going to be rebranding Gradeup to Byju's Exam Prep, and it's going to help students to prepare for government jobs and postgraduate exams like UPSC, GATE, and CAT, among others. And this marks the $2 billion mark for Byju's spending in 2021. They have purchased companies worth $2 billion or more. These are just the companies where the amounts that they've spent have been disclosed. So it could be even higher than $2 billion. We really don't know. And speaking of Byju's and money, they've also raised $150 million from Usman Ventures. Now, Byju's has not yet confirmed this number, so it could potentially be higher than $150 million. This is just coming to us from media reports, but this marks the $1 billion mark in terms of Byju's fundraising in 2021. They've raised over $1 billion now. And they also released their financials for the financial year of 2020. So on a standalone basis, Byju's revenue totaled 2,110 crore rupees, and they saw a profit of 51 crore rupees. Then on a consolidated basis, which means including all of their acquired companies, they saw revenues totaling 2,381 crore rupees, and they saw a loss of 250 crore rupees. And that doesn't include the acquisitions that they made in 2021. All right, next up in the funding news, logistics unicorn Delhivery has raised $76 million from Addition, and some people are speculating that this might be a part of a larger funding round, possibly in preparation for their IPO, which they're expected to file for in the next 6 to 9 months. This $76 million is coming just after Delhivery closed a $277 million round, $100 million of which came from FedEx in July. All right, next up in the funding news, fintech startup Leap Finance, which helps Indian students to study abroad by taking their financial data here in India and providing it to lenders over in the United States and Canada so that those students can get loans and credit, has raised $55 million in a funding round led by Owl Ventures. The platform has already helped more than 60,000 Indian students, and they're planning on using these fresh funds to expand their offerings to students who are planning on studying in the Middle East and Southeast Asia. All right, next up in the funding news, home interior design solutions provider HomeLane has raised $50 million in a Series E round led by IIFL, Stride Ventures, and the Oman India Joint Investment Fund. Since they started in 2014, they've served more than 20,000 customers, and in the financial year of 2020, they saw revenues totaling 230.4 crore rupees. They also became cash profitable in November of 2020, and they're planning to increase their revenues to 2,500 crore rupees by the financial year of 2024. Also, they're going to be using some of these fresh funds to strengthen their leadership team. And the last piece of funding news that I have for you guys this week is that D2C tea brand Vahdam has raised 174 crore rupees in a funding round led by IIFL. So far, since the company began, they've served more than 2 million customers across 100 countries. And in the financial year of 2021, they saw revenues totaling 160 crore rupees, most of which came from people outside of India. They're going to be using these fresh funds to expand their online and offline distribution, to expand globally into new markets, and also to add more superfood products onto their platform. All right, that is all the startup news that I have for you guys this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something as always. And if you did, it would mean a lot to us if you could hit the like button, share this video with someone who you think would enjoy it. And also, if you haven't already subscribed, now would be a great time to do so because we post new videos every single week about Indian startups, entrepreneurs, and the latest news. Thanks to all of our Backstage with Millionaires members, our unicorns, our decacorns, our hectacorns. All of you guys are incredible, amazing human beings. Thank you so much for financially supporting what we do here. But even if you can't afford to financially support us, just the fact that you've made it this far in the video is plenty of help. So if you're watching this, big thanks to you, and I will see you guys in the next one.